Imagine yourself in the middle of chaos, where everyone around you is panicking, raising their voice, and letting emotions take full control. In that moment, you have two choices. Either join the storm and let it drown you, or stand like a rock, unmoved, calm, and in command of yourself. This is where Stoicism reveals its real power, not in theories, not in philosophy books collecting dust, but in the battlefield of life. When emotions threaten to hijack your mind, the harsh truth is most people are slaves to their emotions. They get angry at small insults, they break down at the slightest setback, and they lose their peace because of things they cannot control. A Stoic, however, knows that emotional control is the highest form of strength. If you cannot rule your emotions, you cannot rule your life. The first harsh Stoic lesson is this: the world does not care about your feelings. Nature is indifferent. People will hurt you, insult you, betray you, and still wake up tomorrow with no guilt. If you keep waiting for the world to treat you kindly, you will bleed endlessly. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every morning that he would meet people who are selfish, arrogant, ungrateful, and rude. By expecting this, he was never shocked, and he kept his composure. The world will not bend to your emotions. You must bend your emotions to face the world. The second lesson is that emotions are not reality. They are reactions. When anger rises, it convinces you that revenge is necessary. When fear strikes, it tells you to run. When sadness comes, it whispers that nothing matters anymore. But Epictetus said, "It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them." Emotions are just judgments, interpretations, not facts. If you change the way you interpret events, you change the emotion itself. The insult is not powerful. It is your choice to feel insulted that makes it powerful. And the third lesson cuts even deeper. Every time you lose control of your emotions, you lose a piece of your freedom. A Stoic views anger as chains, fear as a prison, and desire as a leash. You think you're free, but in reality, you're being pulled around by impulses like a puppet. Seneca warned that uncontrolled emotions are a form of slavery because what owns your emotions owns you. When you get angry and lash out, the other person has conquered you. When you panic, fear has conquered you. When you envy, comparison has conquered you. The only way to truly own yourself is to discipline your emotions, even when every nerve in your body is screaming to explode. This is the foundation of Stoic calm, not suppression, but mastery. Not pretending emotions don't exist, but training yourself to respond with reason instead of impulse. In a world where people worship feelings and react to everything, the one who stays calm becomes untouchable. That is the beginning of Stoic strength. Picture the moments when emotions rise like fire. Your heart races, your chest tightens, your mind screams for you to react instantly. Most people surrender to this storm without a fight, letting anger spill out, fear freeze them, or sadness swallow them. But Stoicism demands something harsher: to pause, to step back, to strip the emotion of its power before it dictates your actions. This pause is not weakness, it is strength disguised as stillness. A warrior is not defined by how loud he shouts, but by how calm he remains when arrows fly past his head. The fourth harsh Stoic lesson is that no one can harm your mind without your permission. People can insult your name, betray your trust, or even attack your body, but they cannot reach the fortress of your inner thoughts unless you leave the gates open. Epictetus, who was once a slave, reminded his students that while others may chain your body, your mind is free if you choose to keep it free. Anger comes when you give others the key to your peace. Resentment grows when you let their words live rent-free in your head. A Stoic refuses to hand over this key. Instead of asking, "Why did they do this to me?" a Stoic asks, "Why did I allow this to disturb me?" This shift turns emotional slavery into emotional sovereignty. The fifth lesson strikes even harder. Your emotions reveal your weaknesses. If you explode in anger, it shows impatience and lack of control. If you drown in envy, it shows insecurity. If you collapse in despair, it shows that your happiness depends on things outside yourself. A Stoic uses emotions as mirrors. Instead of blindly following them, he studies them. Why am I angry? What does this tell me about my expectations? Why do I fear? What am I clinging to? Each emotion is a teacher, pointing at chains you still wear. The harsh truth is that emotions expose where you are still a slave. A Stoic accepts this discomfort because facing it is the only way to break free. The sixth lesson is brutal but liberating. Life owes you nothing. Most emotional suffering comes from hidden expectations, that people should treat us fairly, that plans should succeed, that fate should not strike us down. But Stoicism tears this illusion apart. The universe does not exist to please you. When your expectations clash with reality, the result is frustration. The Stoic path is to lower these expectations until they align with nature itself. Instead of demanding the world to be softer, you harden yourself. Instead of crying, "Why me?" you answer, "Why not me?" This mindset transforms suffering into fuel, because nothing that happens can surprise or shatter you. Finally, the seventh lesson. Calm is not a gift, it is a discipline. People admire Stoics for their composure, but that composure is forged daily, like steel in fire. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal every night to examine his soul. Seneca practiced imagining the worst-case scenario to build resilience. Epictetus trained his students to detach from insults, temptations, and fears through constant reminders. Calm is not natural, it is earned through repeated practice. If you want unshakable peace, you must practice daily the art of watching, pausing, and correcting your emotions before they take command. To control your emotions is not to become empty, but to become powerful. It is to feel the spark of anger but not let it burn your tongue, to sense the shadow of fear but still walk forward, to taste sorrow but not let it poison your hope. This is the Stoic way. To be calm not because life is easy, but because you have trained yourself to remain unshaken when life is hardest. Most people search for calmness in the wrong places. They think it will come when life finally gets easier, when people finally treat them better, when money, respect, and comfort arrive. But Stoicism crushes this illusion with its final and harsh reminder. Calm is not found in the world. It is forged within the mind. The outer world is a storm you will never control. The inner world is the only ship you can command. Those who wait for calmness from others will always be restless. Those who build calmness within will remain untouchable, no matter how violent the storm becomes. The Stoics teach us that true emotional control is not about pretending nothing hurts, but about deciding that nothing can break your spirit. When insults come, let them pass through you like wind through a mountain. When failure comes, accept it as a teacher rather than an executioner. When fear whispers, recognize it as a story your mind creates, not as reality itself. This does not mean you will never feel pain or doubt, but it does mean you will never bow to them. Pain will arrive, but it will not conquer you. Doubt will whisper, but it will not silence you. Emotions will strike, but they will not own you. To live this way is to embody true freedom. You are no longer tossed around by every insult, every disappointment, every loss. You move through life like a steady flame. Small winds may flicker it, but nothing can blow it out. Imagine how rare this is in a world where everyone is controlled by their moods, their triggers, their cravings. The Stoic who controls his emotions becomes rare, respected, and powerful. Not because he controls the world, but because he controls himself. This is the ultimate Stoic transformation. You stop fighting to change everything outside of you and start mastering everything within you. Calmness becomes your armor. Discipline becomes your sword. Wisdom becomes your shield. With these, you no longer react, you choose. You no longer collapse, you stand. You no longer beg for peace, you create it. And in that creation, you discover that calmness is not weakness, but the highest form of strength. There is one more truth that separates those who are ruled by emotions from those who rise above them. Every emotion is temporary, yet the damage of acting on it can be permanent. Think of the words spoken in anger that destroyed a friendship, the fear that stopped someone from seizing an opportunity, the despair that led a person to give up too soon. In the moment, emotions feel eternal, overwhelming, and irresistible, but like clouds, they always pass. A Stoic remembers this. He does not chain himself to storms that are passing overhead. He waits, he breathes, he endures. And when the storm moves on, he is still standing, calm and unbroken. This is why patience is not just a virtue in Stoicism. It is a weapon. Every second you delay reacting, every pause you take before speaking, every breath you draw before deciding, builds a wall between you and regret. Emotional control is not about never feeling, it is about never letting temporary feelings create permanent wounds. Those who lack patience remain prisoners of their impulses. Those who practice it become masters of themselves. The Stoic way demands discipline that feels harsh at first, but over time it frees you. You begin to see insults as echoes, not arrows. You see fear as a shadow, not a monster. You see grief as a reminder of love, not a curse. This shift changes everything. Suddenly, the world no longer dictates how you feel. You do. And in that moment, calmness is no longer something you chase. It becomes who you are. To reach this level of mastery is rare. but it is possible for anyone willing to practice daily. The path is simple, though not easy. Watch your emotions, question them, delay your reactions, and choose your response with wisdom. Repeat this until it becomes your nature. One day, without realizing it, you will look back and see that the storms which once shook you now pass silently around you, powerless to move you. This is the Stoic promise, and the harsh yet beautiful lesson. Emotions may knock, but they do not have to enter. You are the master of your inner house. Guard it well, and calmness will never leave you. There is a final lesson, sharper than the rest, that Stoicism presses upon us. Every moment you spend battling your emotions is also a test of your character. The world is watching less than you think, but your own soul is watching always. Each reaction either builds you or weakens you. When you lash out in anger, you train yourself to surrender. When you panic in fear, you train yourself to break. But when you choose calmness even once, you carve a deeper path of strength within, and with each repetition, that path becomes your natural way of being. The Stoics understood that calmness is not an escape from life, but a way of engaging with it more powerfully. The one who controls himself does not waste energy on meaningless conflict, petty drama, or self-pity. He saves his strength for what matters: virtue, action, wisdom. This is why Stoicism feels harsh. It strips away excuses and leaves only responsibility. No one can make you angry without your consent. No one can steal your peace unless you hand it over. No one can control your mind unless you let them. This responsibility feels heavy at first, but it is also the key to freedom. And perhaps the hardest truth of all, calmness is not a destination. It is not something you achieve once and then hold forever. It is a practice renewed daily, tested daily, sometimes lost and then regained. Just as the body must be trained each day to stay strong, the mind must be trained each day to stay calm. A Stoic accepts this discipline not as a burden, but as a way of life. For the reward is immeasurable, the ability to face anything, anyone, anytime with steady eyes and an unshaken spirit. When you reach this point, emotions no longer control you. They still visit, but you treat them like guests, not masters. They knock, but you decide if they enter. You acknowledge them, you learn from them, but you do not kneel to them. And so you rise above the common crowd, not because you have more power over the world, but because you have complete power over yourself. This is the highest Stoic lesson, the harshest truth, and the greatest gift. To control your emotions is to control your life. People talk. They always have and they always will. Some will admire you, some will despise you, and some will pretend to know your entire story by only looking at a single page of your life. The Stoics never fought to silence critics with loud words. They silenced them with character. Respect is not begged for, it is commanded by the way you carry yourself. To walk in silence but radiate strength, that is the foundation. If you truly want to build respect and mute the noise of critics, then you must understand that your response is not in reacting louder, but in becoming unshakable. The world respects a man who is not easily moved, not easily provoked, and not easily corrupted. That is the soil where respect grows. The first lesson is control. Not control over others, but control over yourself. When insults are thrown, when judgments are made, the ordinary man rushes to defend himself. He shouts, he argues, he explains. But the Stoic learns that explanation to critics is often wasted breath. A lion does not explain to the sheep why it hunts the way it does. Your actions are enough. Control your emotions so that no one can read your weakness. The less reactive you become, the more powerful you look. And this power naturally earns respect, because it shows that no one owns your mind except you. Another truth is that critics are mirrors. What they say about you often reflects their own state of being more than your own flaws. The Stoic way is not to deny this mirror, but to observe it without being chained by it. If someone calls you arrogant, ask yourself, do they dislike confidence because they lack it? If someone calls you too quiet, ask yourself, do they hate silence because it forces them to hear their own thoughts? Respect is built when you stop living for their voices and live in alignment with your own principles. Critics lose their power when you no longer need their approval. Discipline is the silent language of respect. Wake up early, keep promises, work when no one watches, and stay consistent when others give up. People may doubt your words, but they cannot doubt your consistency. Every critic, no matter how sharp, falls quiet when faced with undeniable evidence of discipline. The Stoics remind us that reputation is not built in the crowd, but in the solitude of effort. When you walk into a room and people know you are a man of his word, a man who does what he says. The critics may whisper, but their voices shrink compared to the weight of your discipline. There is also the art of indifference. Respect grows when you stop chasing it. A man who needs to be liked, who constantly adjusts himself to please everyone, earns only shallow recognition. But the man who remains indifferent to praise and criticism alike carries an aura of mystery, and mystery often commands more respect than explanation. The Stoics called this freedom, to not be enslaved by either flattery or insult. Imagine two men,